This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
This podcast is brought to you by TeamTrade, a digital solution that helps you hire, optimize, and retain employees. Using psychometric assessments to identify more than 100 professional mindset traits, it gives instant reports you can use to build high-performing teams. Get 2 free profiles today, no commitment, no credit card required, at teamtrait.com. TeamTrait.com. Welcome to the Manage Smarter podcast with hosts C. Lee Smith and Audrey Strong. We're glad you're here for discussions on new ways to manage smarter, hire, develop, and retain talent, improve results, and propel team performance to new heights. This is the Manage Smarter podcast.
Failing upward. Okay, Lee, we haven't done this subject. I searched for synonyms of that phrase, failing upward. This is what came back. Ready? You guys are going to start laughing. Promoted despite shortcomings. Rising despite incompetence, getting a leg up despite poor performance, being rewarded for mediocrity, the Peter Principle in action, the Pretty Principle in action, kicked upstairs, political operative, or promoted beyond ability. So you may have watched unqualified people pass you on the career ladder. I have. Or you're assigned to manage someone who fails up right into your department. Either way, what do you do?
Well, and the other thing too, Audrey, is I've been told my worst nightmare is actually having to work with somebody who's, not competent. Yeah. And it's really because I don't have the patience for that, and I don't suffer fools gladly. So I'm particularly interested to hear what our guest today has to say about that, because I'm taking notes.
Yeah, our return guest. Oh, I'm so glad she came back. Welcome to Manage Smarter, everyone. We are so glad you are here listening. This is a fun subject. My name is Audrey Strong. I am the Senior Vice President of Communications here at Sales Fuel.
And I'm C. Lee Smith. I am the CEO and founder of Sales Fuel.
And returning to our microphones is international keynote speaker, best-selling author Dima Ghawi. She has 20 years experience as a global leader working for Fortune 100 companies, IBM, Merrill Lynch, and Intuit among her clients. She is also helping leaders create courageous and inclusive work cultures. Her book is called Breaking Vases, Shattering Limitations and Daring to Thrive, and the strength and resiliency she's shown in breaking free from years of cultural norms as a young girl growing up in Jordan really shows who she is and the inspiration that she offers. We had such a fantastic discussion last time, Dima, and this subject kept coming up. So we decided to do a whole episode on it. Thank you for coming back.
Well, I am so glad to be back. It's wonderful to talk with both of you again. And the topic is exciting to talk about. All kinds of stories are coming to my mind.
Okay, go ahead, tell us one.
Let's see how we got to this topic. Yeah.
I just think a lot of these individuals get promoted because they know how to play the game. They know how to play politics. They say the right thing. They do the right thing. And as a result, they get promoted. And the rest of us, we have to deal with them. What are your thoughts about this? Like, it's politics.
It's totally that. And that's quite frankly the reason why I got out of working for a decent sized company, quite frankly. But, it's like it was exhausting having to play the game, play the politics, learn what everybody else was up to, countering their move with my move and everything. I just wanted to do my work, and I wanted to do it well with excellence. And, and I wanted to serve people. And so that's when I got out and started my own company back in 1989. And I'm so glad I did. But it's like if I were thrown back into that situation, I don't know what I would do. I don't know how well I would do, quite frankly.
I think, too, it's like you went and created your own rat race, Lee, instead of being in, another person's rat race.
That's right. I'm the rat master.
You can control it more, but I just find it very vexing when that happens and you try and do everything right and your metrics are good and nobody's taking any issue with it. But for some reason, you just see somebody vault right up and it's like, what's the real story behind this? And of course, HR, nobody's going to really tell you what's really going on.
Mm.
So do you have coping tips? Let's start with the first scenario, which is somebody's passing you up on the ladder.
Why does that keep happening?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, this continues to happen. And of course, there's so many reasons. Maybe you think they're less competent than you are, right? So this is something to bring in mind because many times I have people telling me that they're more qualified than this other person and they're not getting promoted. And I'm like, how do you know? So aside from that, in the situation where you're really more competent, that's where our unconscious biases are playing a role. So maybe this person has an affinity with somebody in leadership. An affinity bias mainly means you have something in common. They're part of your tribe. There's something
Mhm.
that they like about you. Maybe you go golfing with them. Maybe you live in the same neighborhood. Maybe you went to the same college. So this affinity plays a big role, and I see it all the time. Many people, they don't admit that this could be part of the reason some individuals get promoted, but it's happening all the time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so basically they're promoting people that are like them.
Yes. That look like them, that have
Hmm.
similar background. And that's why the last few years, when we focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, just this kept coming up. And a lot of people felt uncomfortable because it really showed them the reality that we were living in
Yeah,
and now still living in.
also known as unconscious bias.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's the affinity bias. Excuse me, it's the implicit bias. It is these hidden
Hmm.
messages that are in our brain that we're not even aware that we do them, and we tend as humans to like to surround ourselves with people that are similar to us. We want to work with them. We want to assign them projects. We want to be their friend.
So you create resiliency in the clients that you work with. I guess what would your tip be if my interpretation is that this person's failing upward, but like you said, maybe I don't know the real story of what's the context and what's really going on. And my mother always said, just you do you, pay attention to what you're doing. Is that the best way to sort of, reframe your mindset of what's happening around you professionally?
I like your mom's advice. Yes,
Hmm.
we need to focus on ourselves and do the right thing, but many times that is not helping us to get to the next level, right?
Hmm.
So there's multiple things as individuals we need to do, but also as an organization we need to do to avoid that. As an individual is first to reflect why am I not getting promoted? Am I missing something? Like for example, in the past we were taught do the right thing, show up at 8, do your work, do your best, and somebody is going to recognize you and somebody is going to promote you. And how many people are doing the right thing, but they are missing out, and other people that know how to network, know how to find the right mentor, know how to really play the game and the politics, they're getting promoted. So this is an opportunity for us to reflect inward and say, what am I missing and how can I do things differently? It's taking ownership because I believe everybody that chose in our life is a teacher. Even a bad manager is a teacher, and
Yep.
every situation is helping us to be better. So we can sit and we can blame the situation, or we can say, how can I learn from it to be better? And it doesn't hurt to have a plan B too. So just like
Well, it helps to check your ego at the door. I've had people, I've had one
Hmm.
person in particular that I can recall said, why did she get the promotion over me? I'm much more qualified than she is. And I pretty much led into, oh, no, you're not. And here's why, what this person brings to the position or whatever that you do not. And, it was very direct. Which I am known to be at times, but it's like it was sort of like that hubris that kind of went along with that. They weren't honest with themselves, so they really couldn't actually do what you're suggesting because they can't be honest with themselves that, maybe this other person, has qualities that they don't have or whatever. And, it was right for them to be promoted into the job. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So it
Yeah.
I
sounds like they
absolutely
came
agree.
at you. They came at you instead of coming in and saying, I would like to rise up here. What do I need to do? They came at you and said, I should have been.
Well, yeah, and it's like, and nobody likes to have their decisions questioned directly like that
Mm.
without, it's like if you're going to disagree respectfully, and that was not respectfully. So that didn't help. So pretty much, yeah, it's like, you're going to be that way with me, I'm going to be that way with you right back,
Mhm.
or try to de-escalate, which I did, but I was direct back, and that's what happens. But it's like anyway, the point was is that if you can't be honest with yourself, you really can't then do the things that you need to do to be able to improve and make sure that, as I always try to be, I try to make sure that tomorrow's version or of me is better than today's version of me, and today's version of me is better than yesterday's version of me. That's what I can control. That's what I can do.
Mm.
Yeah, and I try to influence people and everything like that. But it's like those are the things I have absolute control over, and I encourage everybody else to do the same thing.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mentioned earlier that when we discussed this topic, all kinds of stories came to
Oh
my mind.
gosh,
Yes.
So one
yeah.
one example was I was working for a Fortune 20 company and was doing so good, getting promoted, and I discovered that a big part of my passion is to empower women, and I wanted to go and speak at conferences. So one time I was speaking to somebody so senior, and I mentioned that I was flying to a conference and I was speaking at it, and I thought I was doing like an amazing thing and bragging. So then she called my director and then my second line manager and then my manager. And she told them, if you're keeping Dima busy, she would not have time to go and do all.
Ooh.
So
Oh.
that was the first story that came to my mind. So now, when we think about failing upward, there's two areas to that. One is the technical skills. Does this person know what they're doing? And many times they're really good at what they do. That's why you see a lot of individuals that are in IT and engineering, they're getting promoted. They're good at what they do. But the other part is the soft skills, is the human skills, is the motivation, the engagement. And that's what she was missing. And that's why a lot of individuals that fail upward, they're missing that part. They may be really good in the technical, in their real job, but they're missing this other part. So that is something I encourage everybody who has the power as they're making the decisions for promotion to look into, does this individual have the soft skills, the human skills, the human intelligence? And if
Mhm.
they don't, open other opportunities for them to advance. It doesn't have to be leadership. And that is the problem we face, where a lot of people, in order to get promoted, the only path upward is leadership. But that is not something they want or they're good at. So create different paths, but also create 360s. And this is something I help my clients with, where they're getting feedback from their team members, from their senior leaders, from their direct reports about their who they are and are they a good leader, and really having these tough conversations. So back to this, she was at that time the chief supply chain manage like the chief supply chain management person, so senior, like thousands of people reported to her. But that what led to that is I decided at that moment that I just don't fit in. I felt that I am not being encouraged to do something that I'm passionate about in addition to my job. And guess what happened a couple of years later? I quit. So
Mhm.
this is what happens when we have bad leaders that are not focusing on the right human element, but at the same time, when we're not placing them in the right job, where we end up losing talent.
So
That's
let's talk about that. So leadership. Uh, you have a leader, that, or someone that you report directly to, or maybe it's two levels above you, and they are in over their heads. They've been promoted to a position for which they're not qualified, but you still have to work with them on a regular basis and deal with their bullshit.
Mhm.
So, what's your advice for that?
Okay, that's such a good question. Wow. The first thing is try to really get to know them, because there's a reason why a person may be acting like a mean person. It could be fear, it could be insecurities. So try to know them and try to be a solution to some of the challenges they're having. And I'm not saying this is going to work every single time. In the situation I mentioned earlier, it's just not going to work. But many times this individual, this manager that got promoted and they should not have been promoted, they may feel intimidated. They may feel fear that they're not good enough. Maybe they feel afraid of failing. And as a result, they become micromanagers. They become difficult to work with. So get to truly understand where they're coming from and try to be part of the solution. Sometimes this works because if we are helping them do better, of course, it's going to help our life as well. Many times they may not trust us. They may not trust that we really have the right intention or we're really doing our job well. So do your job well, because if they see that we have the right intentions, we are focused on our work, that should calm them down as well. So these are just like two things, is mainly understanding the other person. And this goes back to our conversation we were talking about earlier, is take ownership. Get to understand they're not going to stay in their role forever, like a couple of years, and they're going to rotate, right?
If you really feel like they're unqualified, they're going to be out in
Just wait
9
it
to
out.
16 months, right? Yeah, but the other thing is you can't come out at it with a vibe that, where they pick up on the fact that you don't respect them in the role that they're in. They see you as a threat, they see you as a troublemaker, and you're going to lose whatever influence that you could potentially have, or being able to curry favor with that person. That's not going to happen if they pick up on that vibe, right?
Yeah. I have to tell you a funny story. It's the opposite of everything we're talking about. I one of
People, right?
it's about a promotion I got. So when I was working for this same Fortune 20 company, and I had an amazing mentor who truly opened doors for me. I was working so hard as well. So I was dedicated and I was on a list to continue to advance. So I got a promotion, and the team leader that was working in my department applied for that job as well. So she didn't get it. I got it. I came from a whole different department. I didn't have an experience in that specific function, but I have the leadership experience and the management and all of this. So from her perspective, I am not qualified. From her perspective, she is qualified. And I cannot tell you how much she made my life miserable at the beginning. So much gossip. So she would talk about me that I'm not qualified to other people. But the thing is, again, that goes back to the technical knowledge and the soft skills, the human interaction and engagement. I did not have the technical, and I don't think as a leader I should have the technical. I can learn it, but that's where I can empower my team. But so when we look at it from the other perspective, her view was that I should not have been promoted to this role. She is qualified. And instead of working with me so we can engage the team and do better, because she's in leadership too, she's a team leader, she made my life so miserable. And as I mentioned, gossip, not doing her work, acting like she's busy, but she was not. She became so unmotivated to do her work. And it got to a point where I had only one choice, was to let her go. So to me, again, it's the other perspective. When we're talking about failing upward, I was promoted, but I believe I was qualified. Her perspective that I wasn't.
And that's the final scenario we talked about at the top of the show, which is, so how should she perform an attitude adjustment on herself when you're the interloper, you show up, I'm here. What should she have done? Because that will be the tip for the third scenario.
Yes. What I would have liked for her to do is to come to me and to share that she is interested in getting promoted and ask for me to work with her to help her develop skills and to help her see some areas that she may not be aware of that I can work with her on. That's the first one. So this way I feel as a manager, I am playing a part in helping her advance. The second thing is for her to have a positive attitude and to work with me so we can make the work culture even better. Because what she did is she did the opposite. She became negative, she became gossipy, and as a result, there was a major disconnect. So when I find that she is on board with me, with the right intention, wanting to work, wanting to contribute, then I would go above and beyond to continue to help her and to recommend her, whether for promotion within our department or other departments. So these are the two. Then I could trust her. Then I would feel she's on board. Then I would feel that she's not doing something negative behind my back. And of course, I would want to do the best for her and help her. And I did the opposite. I let her go.
Well, and that's an interesting point there too. It's like, regardless of whether or not you are managing someone that, is unqualified, but you've inherited them, or for some reason, they got put into the position, or you're managing up, whether you're the manager, the leader, or you're the person that feels slighted in some ways, sideways conversation, gossip, bitching to people, whatever, who have cannot fix a problem, cannot influence the problem and everything like that, is the worst thing I think you can do, because that totally erodes trust. It makes you look bad, as the gossiper, even if you're participating in the gossip and you're just like, I'm just listening to what they have to say, I'm not actually doing anything. You're participating in it. That makes you look bad, whether or not you're the leader complaining about the person who's unqualified, or you're the person that's unqualified complaining about the leader. That erodes trust, and something's got to give.
Mm. Is it going to help you get the promotion you want? No.
No.
I honestly feel like it's grade school, and I remember saying this over and over to my parents when I was a kid. That's not fair. And my dad would just go, nothing is fair. Like, just don't ever have that phrase come out of your mouth. Like, you can go nowhere with that.
Or it's like the old
go.
song, from the 80s, where high school never ends.
Oh my God.
But Celie, it's what you talked about earlier, that you were not happy with the culture and you found a way out. It's the same thing with me. I ended up resigning from my corporate job and starting my business too. I mentioned every person shows up as a teacher, every situation is a teacher, but also what can we do as individuals to have a plan B? If the culture really is not getting better and we are really struggling, and even though we try our best to be understanding and self-reflect, but things are still not getting better, why stay stuck? And this is what I find a lot of people doing. They just stay, and back to gossiping. They're miserable. They hate Monday morning. They're not doing their best, and they're just constantly complaining. I have one of my friends. He's been in a job that he really, really dislikes since 2002.
Wow.
I was talking, and he keeps getting one bad manager after the other. And I was talking to him a few months
The common denominator in all this.
Ew.
I was talking to him a few months ago, and he said that he had good news. And I was excited. I thought he's going to tell me that he found another job. He said he did some calculations and he only needs 10 more years to retire.
No.
So he's planning to stay in the same job that he doesn't like, in a culture that is not healthy, for 10 more years. So, and that's the thing. Some people, they're comfortable with security. They have responsibilities. So I cannot judge at all. But at the same time, how can we continue to develop our skills and make ourselves competitive? So if we're really in a place that is not healthy and we tried everything, to find plan B, to find other options.
The perfect way to wrap this up, which is, if you are stuck and this topic is resonating with you, you need Dima. DimaGhawi.com, everyone.
Stop with the victim mentality, called Dima.
AWI, and she will get you unstuck from this, because if you're in like just a loop, You're miserable. Like you said, it just, I can
It's
see
up
it.
to you to become unmiserable.
Correct.
Yeah, hardly anyone's going to do that for you.
Yep.
I love that. That sounds like something we can put on social media.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we got a
will.
coin. I got to trademark the word unmiserable.
Yes, I think you should do that. Yes. And I want to mention one more thing. So if you
Okay.
go on social media, since I'm talking about it now,
Yep.
you find a lot of posts about a leader should do this, a leader should do that, a leader should not do this. And I'm like, why are we not saying what the employees need to do? Why is it always what the leader is the person to blame? Everybody needs to be effective. The leader needs to be effective, but also as employees, we need to play a role in creating a healthy work culture as well.
I'll play devil's advocate with you on that, because the leader has influence over the people then that reports to them, much more so than the people that report to them have influence on the leader. And also germane to this conversation is that, in every scenario, whatever, a hiring mistake was made. And it's the leaders that make those hiring decisions. And, while bad decisions lead to good stories, they don't necessarily lead to high performing companies.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Okay.
Unless if you inherited the team, right? So yes,
Right.
Right. Yeah,
decision
that's
was
it.
made.
And that can happen then too, because new managers then become new, have new positions because usually because the previous person either retired or left the company, or quite frankly did a lousy job, and you're now expected to clean up that mess. So
Well, okay, so dimaghawi.com. She's also on Facebook and LinkedIn. Dima, this has been great. I'm so glad you came back so we could expand more on this. I mean, there's a lot of, meat on the bones with this one.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. Thanks for coming back to the show.
I loved it. I always love talking with both of you.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend on iTunes, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more great information at salesfuel.com.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.